to my talk through. I forgot to film me making these teeth, and I also forgot to film me putting on this bald cap. Sorry about that. Anyway, I used spirit gum to adhere the bald cap and these ears, and I'm very bad at it. I haven't put on a bald cap in 15 years. This is my first time. Since then, also got a really cheap bald cap because I don't have money. And then I used liquid latex to try and blend that edge because it was really bad. Couldn't help myself. Put these teeth in. Alright, yep, there's the completed look, guys. We're done. This is the end of the tutorial. Cool. Alright, anyways. So, after I had the latex dry, I put on some white hydrocolor as the base, and I just got this new brush. I was experimenting with using it for the first time in this video. It's like a cheap Sonia Kashuk brush. I don't know. It's a foundation brush. It made applying this really fast, but it also... I need to experiment with it more. NOSFERATU was a film made in 1922, directed by F.W. Murnau. It's part of the German Expressionist movement, and it was a very obvious adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Nowadays, when we think of Bram Stoker, we just kind of think of, I don't know, like the quintessential Dracula. We forget that somebody like invented that dude, right? But it was what, like 40 to 60 years after Bram Stoker wrote Dracula, so his estate sued over the resemblance and won, and ordered that all the copies of NOSFERATU be destroyed. So a lot of them were. Some of them survived, which is what we have now. It's since then become very influential, obviously. I remember watching this in Art of Film, and I was just so impressed. This was 1922. Like, film was barely even like anything, and it's a beautiful movie. There's some moments in it that like are still creepy AF. Like you saw that intro. I picked out some of the creepier moments with Count Orloff, which is the name of the vampire in this, and it's just him coming up the stairs and the shadows and his claws. It's so good. Anyway, so for these colors that I'm using on my face after the white, I mixed like a red and a black and a brown on the eyes, and then for these lines I'm looking at a picture of Max Schreck, the guy who played Count Orloff, and I'm using the posters for NOSFERATU actually for an idea of what colors to paint this. And all these lines that I'm drawing, I'm drawing the lines that were on Max Schreck for this. I have a baby face. It's never gonna age, I know. Lucky me, but it makes doing creepy looking things a little hard. For the eyebrows, I drew this horrible eyebrow. When I came back, I decided I needed to get rid of it, so I tried to white it out. And then I just kind of like did stuff on the other side to kind of blend it, make it look a little even. And then I just drew these eyebrows over my regular eyebrows, and I drew them a little straighter than my eyebrows without the arch. His eyebrows like aren't consistent in the film, and since I was looking at a picture of the poster, I drew them a little less bushy than they are in the film, but you can see obviously in parts of the film that his eyebrows look like they like leave his face. That look that you're seeing on me is because I just realized I left the thermoplastic from building the teeth in the cup I was using for water. It had completely solidified since the water was cold at that point, but I did not mean to do that. I was just trying to recycle water, and I completely forgot to take the extra plastic out. Whoops! At this point, I decided that I wanted to make this more of a completed paint as opposed to like a makeup look, so I started shading, again, using pictures from the film and the poster as reference. You saw a little sneak peek of my my bald cap nonsense in the back. Basically, obviously I'm not going to be wearing this anywhere. It's just for a photo shoot. So, and I'm the only one here doing this makeup, so I half-assed this bald cap hardcore. It was too loose in the beginning. Like, you can see the difference if you look back earlier in this, where the bald cap was really wrinkly. And so what I did is I took a couple of bobby pins and I just used them to make the bald cap a little more taut. So it looks really funky in the back. Max Shrek's eyes are like super sunken in, so this is me just trying to give that dimension and really exaggerate it. This, when I said earlier that like I was in an art of film class in high school. I remember watching this and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and I think they were like two of the most influential movies I saw of the early days, when I was really into film. I love expressionism in film, and I love just dark, creepy, weird looking stuff. I'll talk more about the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari when I do that paint, but yeah, this one was just super influential to see as a horror movie, and I think it still holds up as scary to this day. On those lips, I had to make my lips a little bit smaller because my lips are bigger than Max Shrek's. Again, when you have this little baby face and you're just trying to make it look creepy, it's very difficult. My face is not sunken at all. You gotta do some extreme contouring, man. I'm adding these highlights to give it a little bit more depth. A lot of this paint job is me experimenting. I can't really explain the process so much as I saw things that were wrong and needed to be fixed. Max Shrek has this really bizarrely shaped head. I assume because of a bald cap, but if not, then like he just has a weird shaped head. I don't know if he actually shaved his head for this. Anyway, it's got that mound on the top. It's all knobby. So you can see how drastically I had to shape that on the bald cap. Looks really, really ridiculous from any angle but the front. Just kept painting and looking at pictures, and then I moved on to powdering. There's no specific reason to use powder and paint. You can do a lot of shading with paint. It's just easier in a lot of ways to use powder sometimes. So it doesn't really matter what powder you use. Just get something that's pigmented to the degree that you like. For a long time I was using a Sonia Kashuk palette, like a neutral palette, and then what I use now is like a Smashbox palette that I'm trying out just because all I use are like matte palettes, and it's really hard to find matte neutral palettes for some reason that work for me. A lot of the time they're just not very pigmented. So I'm still experimenting. I decided to opt for the Smashbox to see if it was going to be any better if I actually went to a makeup place and got makeup. There's a lot of like different shades of color here, which I think, let's say that gives tribute to the spliced together nature of the NOSFERATU films, because you'll see that it goes from like blues to sepia tones and things like that. And the reason for that, I think, is because when they ordered all the copies to be destroyed, some of them survived obviously, but like they weren't particularly well maintained, and so with old movies you'll often see like different colorations and stuff like that, and it's because the people who held on to those films, that collected them and everything and saved them from being destroyed forever, they didn't always preserve them the best, and so what we have are like spliced together copies of NOSFERATU because portions of it would have decayed or been destroyed or whatever. So yeah, no, but also obviously I didn't have like a bluish neutral palette because humans aren't bluish. generally. I mean, unless they're dead, like this guy. This is me trying to fill in the ears, make them a little better. I didn't have anything to color these teeth with that was mouth safe, so I used gel food coloring that I found in my pantry. It's not going to last longer than this photo shoot, and in fact it barely lasted as long as this photo shoot, but look how nice they look. They're all glossy looking too. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks for sticking by, and I'll see you guys later.